Hey everybody, welcome to yet another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Happy to be here on this Monday. Don't forget that starting this week, I will be giving you 2 live shows, Monday night and Wednesday night on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. You can also catch the show audio only on Apple and Spotify and on Mission Radio WQVZ every Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. And I'm also found on Sports Vision's 92.1 FM out of Columbus, Georgia, from 6 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, along with Thrift Barringer and DJ Jones. I'm so happy that I'm able to talk sports, especially when it is World Cup time. I've been trying to get some guests on to talk some World Cup soccer because I don't know about you, I'm enthusiastic about it, and I'm very optimistic, especially how Team USA can go and how far can they go in this World Cup. It's been a successful World Cup, especially those soccer matches in Atlanta. We've had Mexico, Canada, the United States. They've done a great job hosting this World Cup. And I'll talk about the World Cup so far as we're still in group play. Don't forget, I'm also going to talk local sports, the Columbus United FC soccer team. And then you got Columbus Lions and the Columbus Clean Stones. They are all in action, and I'll give an update on that. Going to talk about Wyndham Clark winning the U.S. Open. We've got Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves, getting ready to take a big West Coast swing. They'll take on the Padres and the Giants on the West Coast, and they're trying to battle with the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East. I'm going to mention the NBA draft. The NBA draft is tomorrow. The Washington Wizards has the number 1 pick in the draft, and also NBA free agency will start on June the 30th. Before we get into anything, last week I had an audio-only show. There were some circumstances where I couldn't do the show live or on the air with the video version of the show. So what I did was I just did an audio version of the show. You can go back and listen to that if you like. Ideally, I like to do a video show because I get a little bit bigger audience on Facebook and on YouTube. And plus, I like doing the production with the graphics and everything. And trust me, the graphics have definitely changed. So you're going to be impressed. But yeah, we missed, the Knicks celebration, the winning the championship. What a great time for the New York area. The Knicks winning the championship for the first time since 1973. It was just a great feeling. And I hope you all had a great Father's Day weekend. I know I did as well. I was hoping that, we'd had the NBA finals during Father's Day weekend, but it did go 5 games. And now we're in the off season for the NBA. So I will talk about that. But before we get into anything, I got to talk about Team USA. The men's national team looks different than previous national teams. And I have followed men's soccer for the United States since 1990. I remember the heartache of not even getting out of the group in 1990, in 1998, 2006. Disappointing losses. They've also had upsets along the way. But this group feels special. We're going to start with that game against Paraguay. 4-1. That was probably the most perfect half of soccer I've ever seen Team USA perform. And when you have a striker in Flo Balogun with 2 goals, no soccer player for the United States have scored multi-goals in a game since 1930. And right now he's got 2, and he looks incredibly special. Christian Pulisic did a great job in that first half. He was injured, and so he sat out in that second half, and he did not play in Australia. I actually was more impressed that they were able to beat Australia 2-0 because Christian Pulisic wasn't even in the game. But Flo Balogun looked fantastic. Just the ball placement, trying to get that goal. It turned out to be an own goal for Australia. And then Alex Freeman, the son of Green Bay Packers former Green Bay Packers wide receiver Antonio Freeman, getting that header. They had to look at VAR to check to see if he was onside. And that place at Seattle Stadium or Lumen Field or whatever you want to call it was absolutely loud. That home field advantage was incredible. And the United States win 2 games in the group for the first time since 1930. They advance out of the group because Paraguay ended up beating Turkey. So that match on Thursday against Turkey is not going to matter. So now the manager, Mauricio Pochettino, has an opportunity to rest some players. Maybe rest Tyler Adams that's on a yellow card. Christian Pulisic doesn't need to play in this match. Focus on that game in the round of 32 on July the 1st at San Francisco Bay Area Stadium, because I'm telling you what, I am optimistic that they could play teams like Ecuador or Bosnia. There's a chance that the United States can get out of the group and win that first of the knockout stage, which now they've added the round of 32. I believe the United States can get out of the round of 32. Now, who they could possibly play in the round of 16, there's talks that Belgium might be one of those teams, but right now, Egypt is leading Group G. So there's a possibility it might not be Belgium. This is not the same Belgium team they played in 2010 that beat them 2-1. This is a little bit older Belgium team. So I really like their chances to get to the quarterfinals, which they've done that before. 2002, they lost to Germany, but it's looking like it could possibly be Spain. Now, the casual soccer fan, which I'm a casual soccer fan, I don't really watch the Premier League or Bundesliga. As you can see, I'm supporting Atlanta United, and I'm a big MLS fan. I do believe that the ceiling for this United States team is the semifinals. Now, could they pull off the improbable and win the World Cup? I know that the average casual soccer fan that roots for the United States could say, why can't this team win the World Cup? This team looks just as impressive as France or Spain or Germany. You got to understand that the powerhouses in international soccer, like a France, a Spain, a Portugal, a Germany, the Netherlands, they are all favorites to win this World Cup. But I do think the United States can get to the semifinals. There is a path, but they're going to have to play their best soccer. Flo Balogun has to win the Golden Boot. He has to score more goals than anybody. I'm including Mbappe, Lionel Messi, that player for Lamine Yamal for Spain, who, by the way, looked fantastic in another segment that I got, Throw in the Towel. And that Saudi Arabia-Spain match, it was over after the 24th minute. I thought Spain was going to put up 10 goals on Saudi Arabia. But let's go through the groups, because we know the United States will take on Turkey. This match is meaningless. Am I still going to watch it? Yeah, I want to see them win, or at least I want to see them tie. But it doesn't matter what happens, because their place is already set for the round of 32. All right, we're going to start with Group A, because right now, Mexico, they end up getting 6 points so far. They've won their first 2 matches in group play. They advance out of the group. We've got wins over Korea and South Africa. Czechia ended up beating South Africa in Atlanta. That was a pretty fun match, or tied South Africa. Yeah, they tied South Africa in Atlanta. Korea, they ended up losing to Mexico. Korea ended up beating Czechia. So we've got Mexico getting out of the group. There's a possibility if they lose in Korea, the goal differential is like by 2. So I think they do win that group, and I believe they do. All right, Group B. Oh, we got a showdown between Canada and Switzerland, as they are both in top of the group with 4 points. Canada has a slight goal differential. See, the 6-0 win over Qatar actually was all that they really needed to possibly win out of the group. So if Switzerland, who ends up taking on, Canada ended up beating Qatar, and they tied Bosnia. Switzerland ended up beating Qatar, so Switzerland takes on Bosnia. It hopefully Canada thinks this Canada-Switzerland, if they tie, so Canada's hoping for a tie, they can win the group. Switzerland, I think that there's a possibility that they could win the group as well. They gotta win because the goal differential is by 1. So with that being said, I think Bosnia beats Qatar. I think because that's who the United States thinks they're going to play in the round of 32. Group C, we got Brazil and Morocco both with 4 points. Remember, they tied. Brazil has a 2-goal differential with Morocco. Scotland probably going to get into the round of 32. They got 3 points. For a third-place team, 3 points is really where you want to be. Haiti ended up losing to Scotland and Brazil. Morocco faces Haiti in Atlanta. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. And Brazil ends up taking on Scotland. So there is a chance if Brazil ties Scotland, Morocco beats Haiti, that Morocco wins the group. Group D, we already talked about United States. They advance out of the group. Taking on Turkey, this match means nothing. Australia and Paraguay, both with 3 points, trying to get that second place and possibly a third place getting out of the group here in Group D. Group E, I was so fascinated with that win by Germany over Ivory Coast. I seriously thought that Ivory Coast was going to win. And then Ecuador and Curacao ended up tying, which Germany had a dominant win over Curacao 7-1. And then Curacao responded with a tie over Ecuador. So both have 1 point. Ecuador is going to take on Germany, and then Ivory Coast takes on Curacao. So Group F, the Netherlands, they look fantastic against Sweden. When I saw that match, I thought the Netherlands can win the World Cup. But they ended up tying Japan. Japan ended up beating Tanzania, so Tanzania is eliminated. And now we've got a matchup where it is Japan and Sweden. I think that the Netherlands, they win the group. No question about it. I think they beat Tanzania. Group G, which is the shocking part of this, is that Egypt is leading the group by getting a win over New Zealand. Iran and Belgium ended up tying. So Belgium right now is in third place because of the goal differential between Iran and Belgium. So looking at that, and I do see that they're tied for that. So let's see who we have left. Belgium is taking on New Zealand, and then Egypt's going to be taking on Iran. So Group H, Spain, after having a disappointing 0-0 draw with Cabo Verde, they put it to Saudi Arabia. And this is now my time of the segment where I say throw in the towel. This was over after 20 minutes. Spain, Saudi Arabia in Atlanta. Spain ended up winning 4-0. It could have been 10-0. This was a complete bloodbath. Spain looks like they can win the World Cup. And I would be nervous if I'm the United States because this could be the quarterfinal matchup. But I think Spain wins the group. They take on Uruguay. And then Cabo Verde has a chance to get out of the group. How about the smallest country in the World Cup? Their first ever World Cup could get out of the group. All they got to do is beat Saudi Arabia. Group I, Norway and France are getting ready for a showdown. France does play Iraq right now as we speak. France should have no problem against Iraq. And then France and Norway are going to be having an incredible showdown. Norway taking on Senegal. Like later today. Group J, same Argentina. They're right now tied with Austria as 3-3, or Jordan and Algeria. Group K, right now Colombia is top of the group. Congo and Portugal, and then Uzbekistan. And Congo and Portugal ended up tying. Congo plays Uzbekistan on Saturday in Atlanta, so that's going to be pretty cool. Colombia right now, after getting a win over Uzbekistan. Group L, we've got England and Ghana both with wins. England, the very impressive 4-2 victory over Croatia. This was a team that went to the finals in 2018. And then Ghana ends up getting a win over Panama. And let's take a look at the bracket, because the United States will play the third place team in either B, E, F, I, or J. And that's going to be on Wednesday, July the 1st at 10 o'clock. If they're able to win in the round of 32, they will take on either the winner of Group JG, or Group G winner will take on the third place winner of A, E, H, I, or J. Probably going to be the winner of Group G, which I think could be Egypt, could be Belgium. Who knows? That would take place on July the 6th. And then the semifinal matchup will be taking place on July the 10th. Could be Spain. I don't know, but I think that I am optimistic that the United States can get to the quarterfinals, which they've only done that once, and that was back in 2002, taking on Germany. That was a lot to unpack, but let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, this is a podcast to Columbus, so I got to talk local sports, right? Absolutely. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. And welcome back here to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. It is Monday night, and I love doing this show, and especially on Mondays because we recap everything that happened over the weekend. I hope that you all had a great Father's Day weekend. I know that I did. I was on the call at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium for Columbus United FC and Dothan United, and it was a battle. Columbus United ended up getting an early goal by Chase Jackson to go up 1-0 in the 15th minute, and then they had to hold on for dear life. I tell you, Martin Dominguez was standing on his head. He had save after save after save, and I said on the broadcast with Tyler Dykes that was Tim Howard-esque from 2014. Dominguez was fantastic. Now, Dothan did get the equalizer, but this is the best team in the USL in the South Central Division. This was a rivalry where Columbus United was 0-3 versus Dothan, and they were able to escape with a point. So they escaped with a 1-1 draw on military night, but you got to really give credit to the staff that was able to get that field ready, because 2 hours prior to kickoff, it was a complete monsoon, and the field was nothing but puddles. But Eleni Hitchcock and Paxton Bush and that staff was able to get that field ready. So hats off to them. Hats off to Parks and Rec for able to get that accomplished. And we were able to get a soccer match in. All right, let's switch gears. From Columbus United to Columbus Lions. The Lions were able to play at the Columbus Civic Center on Saturday night. It was the final regular season game of the AAL season. And even though they were trailing at halftime against the Jersey Bearcats, they were able to get the win, 54-40, to go to 9-0, and now they will host the Mississippi Wolfpack in the first round of the playoffs for the AAL. The Wheeling Miners are hosting the Jersey Bearcats in the first round of the playoffs, and the championship is set July the 11th, and a lot of us, including myself, feels it's going to be Columbus and Wheeling for the third time this season. But the one thing that doesn't make any sense is it's in Wheeling. Like, it'll be at Wheeling regardless of the outcome, and I just don't get that. But hey, it is what it is. Hopefully the Columbus Lions can win another championship like they have done in the past. Talking 2024 when they won an AIF championship. 2023 they won an AIFA championship. And then they had a long drought where the last championship was 2016 before that in the AIF. But they're known and have a reputation for winning championships. It's because they have great leadership under Damien the Nighthawk Daniels. the head football coach, who does a great job just developing talent and building up players, and some local players that really have showcased their talent here in Columbus. Let's switch gears. Columbus Cleanstones, they only got 4 games in last week. The rain just was not kind in the Biloxi area, but the first half is over. We got a new half. They have a clean slate, a 0-0 record so far. The Columbus Cleanstones will be taking on the Rocket City Trash Pandas for a 6-game series starting tomorrow. First pitch 7:06 at Synovus Park. And they're trying to start this second half strong as the Columbus Cleanstones. Looking at the roster so far, the Cleanstones, they actually have some promotional deals. Actually, on Stitch Day, June the 26th, they have Star Wars Night. So that's going to be pretty cool. Looking forward to seeing that, and hopefully Mother Nature will be kind, as I definitely enjoy going out and seeing the Columbus Cleanstones. This Saturday, they got Columbus Refrescos de Fuente, and they've got Senior Night tomorrow, Wet Nose Wednesday on Wednesday. So they got some promotional deals. Looking forward to it. And definitely I'm looking forward to that Star Wars Night, because they're going to have their first ever drone show. That's going to be pretty awesome. So, yeah, let's go. It's going to be great just to get back out to the ballpark at Synovus Park. But the first half is over, and Columbus finishes the first half with a 29-35 record, and Biloxi ends up winning the Southern League South. You had a Biloxi that ended up winning 3 straight to end up winning the division by 1 game to the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. But we got a new half of minor league baseball and to keep an eye on. And one thing that I do want to make mention here on the show, because it just has to be said, that the Southern League, when you look at players like David McCabe, 16 home runs, 45 runs batted in. It looks like David McCabe, one of those candidates that could probably get promoted to AAA Gwinnett. We're not going to see him in a Columbus Cleanstones uniform for very long, so I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, as we see these players develop and get better, and the ultimate goal is to get up to AAA Gwinnett and eventually the ball club. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about that ball club, the Atlanta Braves. They were able to take 2 out of 3 at home against the Milwaukee Brewers. They actually lost their first 2 games against the Giants. There was a rain out last week. That game is going to be rescheduled to August the 31st. But they have a road trip where they got to go all the way to the West Coast, take on the San Diego Padres for 3 games, and then travel up the Pacific Coast to take on the San Francisco Giants at AT&T Park for a 3-game series. And the Atlanta Braves, right now as we speak, they are in first place in the NL East. But don't look now. The Phillies are right on their tail with a 6.5 game back from the Atlanta Braves. The Phillies, what can you say about what they've been able to do since their interim manager, Don Mattingly? It's been all the difference. Kyle Schwarber has been fantastic. He hit 3 home runs in a game earlier. And then Bryce Harper, he's been doing his thing. The Philadelphia Phillies are the most dangerous team. It's not the Dodgers. It's the Phillies. The Braves lost to the Phillies twice in the playoffs. They know how good this Phillies team is. Let's take a break. Welcome back here to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Hey, we got the NBA draft tomorrow night, and the Washington Wizards are on the clock. Who are they going to take number 1? There are some options, and I do believe there are about 4 prospects in this NBA draft that could be not just all-stars, but contributors right away, averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, just somebody that can be a contributor. Because, we've seen the number 1 overall pick last year, Cooper Flagg. He obviously better than advertised. he ends up winning Rookie of the Year. By the way, the Dallas Mavericks got a new coach. Michigan basketball coach Dusty May is now going to be coaching the Dallas Mavericks. This is a home run hire. I wish that the NBA would hire more college coaches. But yeah, he is now the new head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. When I first saw that, I was like, man, is this a joke? I mean, Michigan just won the national title. I thought this is what Dan Hurley was going to do at UConn, but he didn't even take the Lakers job. So the Washington Wizards, look, say what you want about the Wizards. This is a mess of a franchise. They just haven't hit their stride or have done anything. They were the worst team in the league. And, they've had just some hard times. They haven't really had a whole lot of talent. And I'm thinking of back when the Washington Wizards last made the playoffs was that 2021 season, but really they haven't really done anything since 2018, 2017, when they've had like Nene, Paul Pierce, Otto Porter, Bradley Beal. I think they've been on some hard times since Bradley Beal got traded to the Phoenix Suns, but their last 3 seasons have been abysmal. 15-67, 18-64, 17-65. They need a franchise player. What better way than to get a guy that's projected to be a 20-10 guy, the talented small forward from BYU, AJ Bastanza. Go get him. There's a chance that Trae Young might re-sign with the Wizards. He opted out his final year, and he's going to restructure his deal. So there is a chance that they could re-sign Trae Young. They've got Alex Sarr, who was a decent player. I mean, he's not lighting the world on fire. He's not an all-star. But looking at some of their pieces that they've had, I'm a fan of Alex Sarr. I mean, he did average 16.3 points a game. But you also have Bilal Coulibaly. So AJ Bastanza, he would make the Wizards better, especially if they re-sign Trae Young. And then we also have Anthony Davis. So they do have some pieces to not necessarily contend for the East. I think they're a couple of pieces away from even doing that. But go get a player that's going to have an impact right away. And I do believe that player is AJ Bastanza. All right, the Utah Jazz, they are on the clock next. And the Jazz, they already have their superstar. Lauri Markkanen is a superstar, but they are in a very stacked Western Conference. They went 22-60 last year. Their pick that they got from Rutgers last year, Ace Bailey, not like a transcendent player. He's a franchise player in my mind. Like, he just needs some more playing time. But their pieces that they have, Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George, they were your leading scorers. And then Walker Kessler, I think he's going to be a free agent. I don't see him signing with the Utah Jazz. So let's take a look and see what's happening with the Utah Jazz. Because I think that they are going to end up getting, with the number 2 pick, Darren Peterson, who is a talented point guard from the University of Kansas. But they already got Ace Bailey. You gonna pair up Darren Peterson with Ace Bailey? That's actually not a bad deal. The Memphis Grizzlies. I tell you, the Grizzlies with Ja Morant. Look, here's the thing about the Memphis Grizzlies, because this used to be almost a title contender a couple of years ago. They've gotten rid of Dylan Brooks. They've gotten rid of Desmond Bane. They've gotten rid of Jared Jackson. They went 25-57 last year. And the Grizzlies, with the 3 pick, they really need to get a difference maker. And I think that difference maker is going to be Cam Boozer. Although I don't think that the Grizzlies are quite a playoff team in the West. Because the West is so stacked. But they need to stop getting rid of coaches like what they've done in the past. Taylor Jenkins, David Fizdale, Jurger. I mean, it's not the coach's fault. They actually do a great job developing talent, but the talent just doesn't stay in Memphis. Nobody wants to play in Memphis, but Ja Morant is still there, so it's his team. So that's what they're dealing with right now. You want to build your team around Zach Edey, maybe get Cam Boozer. So yeah, I think with the number 3 pick, they're going to get Cam Boozer. Now it gets interesting because the Chicago Bulls have the 4th pick. And I do think they get power forward Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. I think, like I mentioned, the first 4 picks are going to be sure top picks that are going to produce. I don't think we're going to have any busts in the first 4 picks. I think that they will at least average 10 points a game and contribute and play valuable minutes for their respective NBA team. Now the Los Angeles Clippers, this would have been Indiana's pick, but their pick was unprotected, so the Clippers ends up getting the number 5 pick because of the trade with Ivan Zubac, who's now on the Indiana Pacers. And I think the Clippers end up getting Keaton Wagler from Illinois, a point guard that helped the Illinois Fighting Illini get to the Final Four. And he was just a young freshman that's got a lot of upside. The Brooklyn Nets, who've been abysmal for the last couple of years, I think they get Mikael Brown, the point guard from Louisville. And then now we have probably the most snake-bitten team. And if it wasn't for that 1 year in 2022 with Mike Brown making the playoffs, the Sacramento Kings would have been a complete dumpster fire for 20 years. I think they get Darius Acuff, but this Kings team needs a lot of help. There's going to be some restricted free agents. What are they going to do with Domantas Sabonis? He was dealing with a lot of injuries, and I don't know what happened to the Sacramento Kings. I don't think Doug Christie's the answer at coach, but what happened? Where did it go wrong for the Sacramento Kings that had, this year they had Russell Westbrook, Keegan Murray, Zach LaVine, but this is the same franchise that drafted Tyrese Halliburton and Isaiah Thomas. So they've had some hits. De'Aaron Fox, another hit that, just didn't work out with San Antonio. I don't know where De'Aaron Fox is going to go, if San Antonio is going to re-sign him. But the Sacramento Kings, I think they get Darius Acuff. And now the Atlanta Hawks, which got the number 8 pick, and they got the number 23rd pick. This was from the trade, moving up, and the Patrick Queen trade with the New Orleans Pelicans. This was the Pelicans pick. They also have the pick from the Cleveland Cavaliers from the DeAndre Hunter trade. I think they get a point guard here. You need a true point guard because Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be there too. You have Jalen Johnson. Don't think they re-signed Jonathan Kuminga, and you still want to have Onyeka Okongwu. Now, there's some trade bait here, especially if they want to go get a guy like Jaylen Brown, like Zachary Rizachet, who was the number 1 overall pick last year. So they do have some draft capital. They could ship these 2 picks, the 8th and the 23rd, to Boston or Milwaukee. There's talks that there's a 3-team trade. Giannis going to Boston, Jaylen Brown going to Atlanta. Now, there's some talks there, but I think Kingston Flemings, the point guard from Houston, is the safe pick here. Dallas, who's just got a brand new coach in Coach Dusty May. Nate Ament, the small forward from Tennessee, playing alongside Cooper Flagg. And then Kyrie Irving might come back from injury. So if Kyrie comes back with Cooper Flagg and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, that's a playoff team. I'm sorry. Dallas is a playoff team in the West if Kyrie Irving comes back and he is healthy. Braden Burris, the shooting guard from Arizona, going to Milwaukee. Of course, this is a mock NBA draft according to On3 Rivals. And then other players, Ade Mara, the center from Michigan who won a national championship with the Michigan Wolverines, going to the Warriors. Morez Johnson Jr., another national champion, going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kareem Lopez, first international player off the board. Man, I was like, where are the international players? But Kareem Lopez from the New Zealand Breakers going to the Miami Heat. I'm going to stop there. Number 14, because NBA free agency is just around the corner. And the big question is, where's Giannis going to go? I think that he will go to the Miami Heat because they will make it work out. This is what the Miami Heat do. This is how they were able to get LeBron there in 2010, which I couldn't stand the decision. I couldn't stand the fact that they got Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler helped lead the Miami Heat to 2 NBA Finals appearances. But now Giannis has a chance to go to either the Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics. I think he goes to the Miami Heat, which means that the Miami Heat will probably ship off Tyler Hero. And that is the safe bet. But Miami, dangerous team with Bam Adebayo and Giannis paired up on that front line. Some other free agency news is Aaron Wiggins, not Andrew Wiggins. Aaron Wiggins is shipped over to the Atlanta Hawks, and the Hawks signed C.J. McCollum for a 1-year, $21 million extension. That's a good move because you have veteran leadership with C.J. McCollum that did a great job in the playoffs. They were able to win 2 playoff games against the eventual world champion New York Knicks. So let's take a look at that free agent tracker. I'm a fan of Walker Kessler. I think Walker Kessler, I would love to see him in Atlanta, but he is going to be shipped off of Utah. I think that that's going to be a possibility. I know the New York Knicks wants to keep everybody, but I think Jose Alvarado tests free agency. Austin Reeves, I think he is gone. DeAndre Ayton might be gone. Marvin Bagley III, who has been a disappointing player, who plays for the Dallas Mavericks. He's 27 years old. I think he'll get some money somewhere. And then we also have looking at some of the other players. Bradley Beal, does he re-sign with Phoenix? I'm not sure. I think that he says he's an unrestricted free agent. DeAndre Ayton, where could he possibly go? I don't think the Lakers can afford him. I think that he gets shipped off. And then Austin Reeves. Do the Lakers re-sign Austin Reeves, give him a max deal? Highly, I doubt it. What I think could happen is that Trae Young signs with the Lakers and plays alongside LeBron and Luka, and he is the number 3 option. Trae Young is actually great if he is not the number 1 option. So I think that there are some teams that could be interested in getting Trae Young on a team-friendly deal where he is not the guy. So that is NBA free agency in a nutshell. Lou Dort, another player. I think the Thunder end up signing him. He's way too valuable to test free agency. But NBA free agency period will start on Thursday, June the 30th. All right, College World Series tonight. Winner take all, game 3. We've got the North Carolina Tar Heels taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. North Carolina has never won a College World Series. I mean, they got plenty of NCAA basketball titles. They're also a women's soccer powerhouse, but they've never won a College World Series. So good luck to them and the Oklahoma Sooners, which the SEC has won 6 College World Series titles. Oklahoma has not won a College World Series title since 1994. So will they win the College World Series, or will North Carolina dethrone the SEC and become the first non-SEC school since Oregon State winning a College World Series in 2018? NHL, congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup. They defeated the Vegas Golden Knights, and my thoughts on the Carolina Hurricanes, they got 2 Stanley Cup titles. And they won it in 2006 and now recently in 2026. I don't know any Carolina Hurricanes fans. This is the first team, but they won it in 2006. This is the only team in North Carolina that's won championships. Why isn't anybody talking about the Carolina Hurricanes in North Carolina? Is it because they're from Raleigh and they're not from Charlotte? Well, maybe they need to move to Charlotte in order for people in North Carolina to get excited about the Carolina Hurricanes. We have another hockey team in the South that has won a Stanley Cup. We had the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, now the Carolina Hurricanes. So I just want to see them get excited about the Carolina Hurricanes. Congratulations to Wyndham Clark winning the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Golf Club in the Hamptons. Yeah, if New York wasn't busy enough as it was, Wyndham Clark ends up winning his second major. It's his second U.S. Open, and he did it with a 1-stroke lead, winning it, and good for him. because a little bit of redemption from last year missing the cut at the U.S. Open. All right, let's go and take a break. When we come back, it is my sports movie review. This is a new segment that I am featuring every week. Every Monday night, it's going to have a sports movie review, and the movie I am reviewing, Facing the Giants. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. One. We are back here on the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. All right, it's time for my sports movie review. Every week I will review a movie. It could be a classic. It could be a movie that just came out 5 years ago. It could be a really bad sports movie, or it could be an all-timer. It does not matter. I am going to review a sports movie, and you're probably wondering, well, what it goes into picking a sports movie? Does it have to be centered around sports? Is like a movie like Field of Dreams doesn't have anything to do with baseball. In fact, Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones leave a baseball game after one inning. They didn't even finish an inning. So yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with the game itself, but it is a sports movie. The Sandlot, another movie I categorize as a sports movie. But this episode, I am reviewing Facing the Giants. Now, if you have not seen the movie Facing the Giants, it is a Christian-based movie that takes place in Albany, Georgia. It was filmed in 2006 in Albany by the Kendrick brothers. Alex Kendrick and Stephen Kendrick are brothers that have done movies like Flywheel, Fireproof, Courageous, Overcomer, War Room. They have a lot of Christian faith-based movies. And Facing the Giants is a sports movie, which it centers around a team that has had 6 losing seasons, a Shiloh Christian Academy, and somebody that calls high school football for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I kind of take a look at little things. Obviously, the fictional team, Shiloh Christian Academy, they're the Eagles. So Sherwood Christian out of the GIAA. They are also the Eagles. So I see some similarities. First of all, they have this incredible run. Grant Taylor is the coach. He's played by Stephen Kendrick. Grant Taylor is a coach that they want to get rid of after him losing to the worst team in the league, Dewey County, I believe. Yeah, that is the team that they lost to. The movie starts out with they lose their star player. He transfers to a rival school. The team is just deflated. There goes our season. I can't believe we lost our best player. And then him and his coaching staff are saying, okay, let's look at the schedule. I think we could end up winning this game here. We could probably win this game here. But the one thing that irritated me was the football announcer in the beginning of the show. The football announcer in the beginning of the movie. He's like, and Shiloh Christian loses yet another, and Grant Taylor will have to wait until next year to get his winning season. And then he covers the mic and goes, and that is if he's back next season. I'm like, why are you doing that? People know that you're still on the air. That really bothered me, especially somebody who's a sports announcer. I would never say anything like that. I always keep it positive, but it's a movie. And so I love this movie just because of the life lessons, especially the death crawl. Not going to spoil anything. That's a powerful, iconic scene with one of the star players who happens to be one of the firefighters in the movie Fireproof, but that's neither here or there. But Grant Taylor does a great job, getting his mind focused. He's like, okay, going forward, we are not going to be focused on winning just games. We are going to put the focus on God and let's see how this season plays out. It turns out when they put their focus in the right areas, they do amazing things. It is one of those movies where, because it is faith-based, the kicker trying to make a 50-yard field goal. I mean, there are some things that could be unrealistic. The most unrealistic thing about this movie is you would never have a 1A private school take on a 7A giant in the Richland Giants. That's why we have classifications with the GHSA and the GIAA. That would just be impossible. And I know that I don't think that they would end up being a 7A school, but that's just one takeaway I got from the movie. It's a great movie. I've watched it multiple times because of the positive messages that Facing the Giants have. And then, there's some subplots like Grant Taylor's wife is trying to have a baby, and, those subplots, that's why you have what's called sports movies. And then you have a subplot like the kicker, his name is David. I mean, it's not just a coincidence, and he's trying to face the Giants. It's some pretty cool moments in there. Little cheesy. Some of these faith-based movies are a little cheesy. The acting's a little over the top because they're not really professional actors. They're actors that just happen to attend Sherwood Baptist Church, which, Sherwood Christian Academy, which I remember the GIAA championship last year. I got to meet the firefighter from Fireproof, and he was also one of the cops in Courageous. So obviously they do a lot, with, it's now Kendrick Productions, but it was the Sherwood Productions group that also did the movie Fireproof and Courageous. Well, what a show. We've got a lot accomplished here on the show. Don't forget, Wednesday night, we're going to be back at it with another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Thanks for tuning into the broadcast. We'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. And don't forget to check out next episode Wednesday night. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. You can catch new episodes on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge is a local podcast that covers sports in Columbus, Georgia.